Hello everyone, welcome back to another Mara chart planning update video. We're going to be going over Bitcoin as well for correlation reasons to better understand what Mara will most likely be doing. Now, before we get started, of course, guys, everything in this video is just my own personal opinion. It is not financial advice, but do please keep in mind that I am not always correct about my analysis, but I do tend to stick with them until I am proven wrong. But to go ahead and actually get started, for a while now, we've been trading somewhat in this sideways pattern, keeping track of this triangle pattern as well. I've sort of extended it from the last update video just because it's sort of widened a bit more. So I'm trying to reflect that here as well. And we're starting to break down to the downside a little bit. You guys already know, if you've been watching for a bit, that I am long Bitcoin. I expect Bitcoin to go much higher than where we are now. But when it comes to the short-term price action, I try to focus not on too much on news or FOMO or hype. I try to focus on what the chart is actually telling us. So you guys already know that with Bitcoin, right? Before we jump in tomorrow, we are expecting a lot of bullish news to come out in the U.S. So the U.S. President Donald Trump did sign to go ahead and begin the process of a Bitcoin treasury. I forgot what the name is called exactly, but it's just a signature at the moment, and none of it's official just yet. But we are expecting something eventually, real soon, because the current administration, if that's the correct word, is pretty much on board for this as well. Besides that hype, to put it aside, the chart is what's going to tell us a little bit more of what's going to happen. So for quite some time now, we've been trending upward. We sort of started fluctuating here quite aggressively, in my opinion. So what we have here is not just an uptrend, but a continuation of a larger picture uptrend. What does that mean? That means, if you guys are familiar, there's two kinds of consolidation. There's time consolidation, which is what we're sort of seeing here, which factors in just price moving sideways for a certain amount of time to consider that to be a correction before we start moving into the path that makes a bit more sense, which we're still in a bullish case, so that's what makes sense. And then the other form is, of course, a price correction, where we can see the price come down, and that in form corrects the uptrend we had, and then a correction, and then we come back up and start pushing up higher. So you guys know that I'm looking for higher prices within this range right here before we see another consolidation or correction form. What that means for Mara, though, is that until we can break above this swing high and then eventually retest the all-time highs right now at the moment, just underneath 110,000, we can continue to see a sideways pattern, although I am leaning, just in an ideal world, I would like to see this path right here, this 3-wave dip, finally fill. And again, that's going to make sense in Mara in just a moment. And then when it comes to how this factors into the overall price, is that we did see our first wave complete. So that's the A wave. We had an overshooting B wave, and now we're in the middle of trying to complete a third wave, which in this case, it looks like it's more of a time rather than price correction. But again, until those are hit up here, I am still looking for potentially lower prices, retesting this this swing low right here, or potentially coming down, making a one more dip scenario, crazy buying opportunity if we do come into this area right here. It does not have to happen, but I understand that it is very much possible, and therefore I'm not fighting it. I am being very light with my accumulation at the moment. I accumulated 300 shares of BitU during this consolidation phase right here. And in the background, I also have 20,000 USDT invested in Bitcoin and spot market as well. I would like to add more, but again, I'm being very patient with this, because if it does come down lower, that's a great opportunity to buy. And as of right now, it makes sense to be patient rather than to rush into any trades. So now, of course, with Mara, the way this correlates is we are seeing a little bit, again, a little bit of a consolidation. We broke below this support line, so we can easily come down lower, maybe potentially retest this first swing low right here overnight. And what that means for Mara as well is that if we continue to see these short-term bearish moves before we start moving up higher, we can finally see a retest of this support area. It's a fib extension, or not fib extension, fib retracement area from this swing low to so far what the swing high is, which falls in line to just about there. We also have the 120 moving average starting to peak up a little bit. We haven't seen during this time the RSI really bottom out too much, which is it's trying to reset itself, just like it's resetting itself in Bitcoin, and then it finally broke below it. So now we're starting to see that bearish move happen. So we need to see how this evolves over the next just about 12 hours. It's less than 12 hours. Yeah, it's less than 12 hours before the U.S. market opens again. So we're waiting to see how that's going to evolve. But this is very, very good if you are looking to take long positions on Mara, because if this can finally come down after resetting the RSI, which it looks like it's trying to, if it does come down back into the support area, we see it somewhat near or even touch the 120, we can see the RSI finally testing that 30 mark, potentially even slightly below the 30 mark. This will create a really, really good buying opportunity if you are in the belief that we are in an uptrend, which the current evidence that we have that we are finally going to start moving up a little bit higher, even though we're going to see major fluctuations. Very important, to be patient during these fluctuations. But the overall trend, after coming down quite a bit and seeing these crazy fluctuations, we can then start looking at what signs we have if we're going to start moving up higher. So far, all we have is that we made a lower low right here from here. But when we started moving up higher, instead of finding resistance right here, which it sort of tried to, and then it popped up, besides just coming down from there, we started seeing the price come up higher. We finally broke past this swing high right here, making a higher high. We came down, and then we moved higher again. So we made somewhat of a higher low right here, and one more higher high. Due to the fact that this is, even though it filled in this price gap right here, even though it filled it and it pushed up higher, this is somewhat still weak because these very aggressive red candles didn't even break below the 50 mark. It pretty much bounced off of it. So I would like to see this actually come down to a point where we see the RSI come down a little bit more, finally retesting that more discounted area around the 30, and flirting with that 120 moving average. This will create a much more clear, aggressive pullback, which then we can look at a potential imbalance, which we see right here, for the price to come back up. And then that's a good sell area if we can just see potentially the price come down and really fill in our requirements for an ideal trade or ideal short-term trade in this area right here. So that's just my plan. That's my approach with this stock. I am being very, very patient. If we do push up higher, well, I still have the Bitcoin exposure to at least profit from that if I do miss out on another rally in Mara. So it's always good to have a little bit of a backup plan, something to help you out if you do miss out on your preferred direction on a stock. But when it comes to actually taking a position in Mara, again, I would like to see this area get filled once more, potentially hitting that 120 or breaking slightly below the 120 moving average, while at the same time the RSI showing that very much oversold indication down here as well. So this will evolve over time. I've been seeing the same thing over and over again the last 2 videos. I made a video here saying I would like to see it come down, and here it did. We saw the imbalance get filled. We saw it pretty much get real close to that 120, and it filled the 0.5 slightly below that on the retracement area. Unfortunately, the third check on the checklist, it did not break below that 50 mark, and of course it didn't even near it. If it didn't break below it, didn't near it. So I just didn't worry about it. And then eventually a little bit more fluctuations and it broke up higher. I said the same thing on last video. I want these check marks to be hit because I am not trying to take any hyped trades or put myself in a trade where I'm not completely confident with. It's not worth my time, and it's not worth anyone's time to do that as well. So again, you guys are going to approach this your own way, but my personal approach is I want to see those 3 check marks all hit at the same time before a potential trade can commence. But also, one more thing at the same time before I end this video is all this fluctuations we had right here, which is very, very tight fluctuations just above that 50. This can also act as a potential magnet, bringing the price back down to this area. So there may be really good buying opportunity in this area as well, around $18.30 to start accumulating. It just depends, of course, again, on your view on the stock. But I'm very, very much leaning towards this coming down a little bit more before we spike higher. It just makes more sense to me, and it's a way for me as an individual to reduce risk. And of course, I hope everyone is taking measures to reduce your own risk in these very aggressive moving publicly traded assets as well. So again, guys, one more time, and I'm gonna make a MSTR video right after this as well. But I want to see it come down into the white area. So it's just the retracement area. Actually, there's no other indicators around here or anything, so I'm gonna make this yellow, because this is where it's going to be very cautious. It's very cautious in this area to start placing orders. So come down into the retracement area, flirt with that 120, while at the same time the RSI starts to show that discounted area. If you can see it break below the 120 even briefly and mix itself with this fluctuation we had right here within the same area around the 0.618, this will be a really, really good buying opportunity in my personal opinion. And then we can look at potential imbalance on the upside, because if we do trace up higher, at least on the short term, we do not have to retest the swing high. We can actually find resistance wherever there's imbalance on these hourly candles as well. Of course, all the candles are going to give you different information, but as of right now, that's the one I'm looking at. So yeah, I'm going to wait for this to come down. I'm not taking any short positions on it or anything like that, because it is trending higher, and this can easily just pop up tomorrow, Monday, market open. So I'm being very cautious with it. I'm just going to let it reach my checklist. And again, I hope everyone is taking just risk management measures to, properly gain exposure to these assets without actually potentially hurting your overall portfolio. But yeah, guys, I'm just waiting for this to come down a little bit more. We'll see if that happens, and I'll keep you guys updated on in future video of what I'm potentially looking at. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.